In this tutorial, you will be shown how to animate 2D flowing artwork. You will be shown how to take artwork into Gimp. You will be shown how to prepare the artwork in Gimp in preparation to bring the artwork into Blender 2.93. Once you bring the artwork into Blender 2.93, you will be shown how to set up a Displace Modifier to work with your art, as well as the settings for that Displace Modifier. You'll be shown how to animate an empty object. It will do the main work of animating the hair as well as the feathers of your 2D artwork. You'll be then shown how to render out this artwork to get the artwork out of Blender. As I work my way through this tutorial, I not only explain what I'm doing, but why I'm doing what I'm doing. So thanks for taking a look at this tutorial, and I hope that you enjoy it. Hi, this is Alianna Arango of LittleGuyCGI.com. Today I'm going to show you how to animate 2D flowing art in Blender 2.93 as well as Gimp. So let's get started. Okay, what you're looking at on the screen is a piece of artwork from my daughter Alianna Arango's comic book, Claws and Talons, and this is what we're going to be animating today. I like this picture because you can see like the ends of the fur here as well as the ends of the feather. So that's what we're going to be focusing on as far as the animation. By the way, if you're interested in taking a look at where this artwork is from, it's from a comic book that she's currently working on. I'll put a link in the description for this video if you would like to take a look at it. Okay, what's on the screen now is the artwork from Claws and Talons. We are in the program Gimp. Gimp is a free image manipulation program. It's what I use for most of my image manipulation work when I'm drawing myself. Typically I use Krita. As far as I know, my daughter drew this in Krita. However, we are in Gimp right now. Good program. Anyway, what we're going to do here is we're going to separate the artwork to make this easier for animation. This should go fairly quickly. When you bring a piece of artwork like you see here into Gimp, the first thing I would recommend you do is right click on your image and then duplicate that image. So if you have a mistake, you can go back to the original image. Okay, I'm going to hide this bottom image with the top image selected. I'm going to go to the upper left. I'm going to the free select tool. And what I'm going to do is take the free select tool. Control Shift A. Wait a second. I think because I selected outside of the picture. So what I'm doing is I am drawing a line around our two characters here. What I'm thinking about as I'm doing this is I want to get this picture separated. However, I don't want to get rid of the black lines that are outline the drawing. There are a limit to how many times you can click to with this free select tool. Eventually you do run out. If anybody was wondering that. If you're new to this channel, I've recently put up a bunch of different 2D things. Typically most of the time I do 3D work. I do like and respect 2D work. Since I've started with Blender, I have been impressed by what you could do as far as 2D artwork. I like animation a lot. Spend most of my time doing 3D animation. That being said, I like 2D animation a lot. It takes a lot of dedication to do. One of the things I like about Blender is the fact that you can do smooth animation much quicker using the abilities of Blender. So, all right, so I have this outlined. What I want to do now is press Enter. So now with this pressed, what I'm going to do is I can use a shortcut key, which is Control X, or I can go to Select. So I'm going to go to Select, and then I'm going to, wait a second. Oh, okay. Edit. I'm going to see that you can see the shortcut keys there. So I'm going to select Cut, right? And then what I'm going to do is go Edit and then Paste in Place. And then I'm going to select near the bottom right, Create a New Layer button. One of the things that's different between Gimp and Photoshop, as well as other manipulation programs, is when you cut and paste, typically what you'll see is you'll see like a floating image, and you click the button to make a new image. I think there's also an anchor button. That's like the main difference that I know between this and like Photoshop. So anyway, what we have, if I hide here, you can see we have this on its own layer now. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to hide this top layer, select this layer here. I'm going to duplicate this. You don't have to. I recommend it. Just if you have some kind of issue. That's how I was taught as well. So we have this background, right? I want to keep the background. So we have the cat taken out of it. So what we can do is go to our upper left. See this looks like a Band-Aid. What we're going to do is select here. We'll hold the button now. We'll select the clone brush. If I take the bracket keys and I'm holding the bracket key, you should be able to see the thumbnail for it there. I can make this brush bigger. So what I'm going to do is hold Control. I'm holding Control now. I'll left click. And then you can see how like this is left there. That's there because what I can do now is take this area here and fill in the black that you see here. You could click and drag. I am left clicking to get this. I'm going to click on the move tool. I tend to do that to make sure nothing's selected. I tend to do that. I tend to go to the move tool in between tools. Okay, so we have this background here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the smudge brush. Okay, it's not not doing what I want. So let's try the blur brush. Still not doing what I want. So what I'm going to do is go to the clone brush, hold. I'm going to go to the healing brush, right? Select out here, and the healing brush will it'll clone, but it'll also blend, which is working fairly well. This is going to be mostly covered up. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to go to here, click back on this layer. I'm going to name this cat and bird. Okay, in between videos, I just made this be all lowercase. All right, so what we want to do now is with this selected, I'm going to go back to the free select tool. What I'm doing now is I'm selecting the eyes. The reason why I'm doing this is we can, in Blender, fairly easily, I'll press enter. Now I'm going to hold shift. By holding shift, I can make another selection without losing the previous selection. I'm letting go of shift, pressing enter. I'm holding shift again, going to the bird's eyes. Making a tutorial, so I am doing this fairly quickly. The more time you take, the better results you'll tend to get. Holding shift. I'm going to hold Control to zoom in on the bird's eyes. I'm going to hold Shift again so I can add to this selection. I'll press Enter. So I let go of Shift to press Enter and I don't lose the selection. I'll do this more. By holding Shift, I can add right to the selection, which is what I'm doing now. Letting go of Shift, pressing Enter. So now with that done, I'm going to hold Control. That's how I zoomed in. I'm holding the middle mouse button to pan. What I'm going to do now is go to Edit, Cut, and then Edit, Paste in Place, and then go to the lower right and select New Layer. Hi, this is an insert to this video after I finish the video. If you are interested in having the eyes blink as far as the animation, I don't show how to do that in the finished tutorial. I have other tutorials that show how to do that. However, in this tutorial, I don't show how to do that. So you might not want to do this next part that's coming right after this part, which is separating the eyes. I'm going to keep that in the video so you know how to do it. But if you don't want to have the eyes blink, which this tutorial does not show, then ignore the next small section that shows you how to separate the eyes, and just keep your cat and bird as well as your eye level as eye layers as one layer. Thanks. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to name this eyes. Okay, what I'm going to do is go to this layer, delete that since we don't need it. Here's this layer, delete that since we don't need that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the eyes. I'm going to turn these layers off. I'll go to File. To get these images out, you want to go to Export As, right? So I'm going to select New Folder. I'll name this Art Assets. So we're inside of that folder now. And then I'm going to name this PNG here. It has the original name of the artwork. So I'm going to name this Eyes. Whoops. And then I'll export that. Hide the eyes. Go to cat and bird. So make sure, well, it doesn't have to be. It should. I'm selected on the layer. I'm going to go to File, Export As. So now I'm going to change this to cat and bird. I'll export that. This is going in the same folder. This is exporting as a PNG, by the way. You need your image to be a PNG or some other file setting that holds transparency to get that. So now here's the background. File, Export As. Background. Then I'll export that. So now all of these pictures are out of Gimp, and we're going to bring those pictures into Blender. Okay, here we are in Blender 2.93. I'll select the cube, delete the cube. I'm going to press the N key. I'm going to go to View. I have these view settings because if you go to Edit, Preferences, Preferences, Add-ons, you put a check mark right here, 3D View, 3D Navigation. You'll be able to see this. Once you have a check mark there, you can select 3D Navigation. I'll select Front. So we're looking at this from the front. So what I want to do now is I want to bring these pictures into Blender, the ones we just exported out of Gimp. So what I'm going to do is go to File. Oh, there is another thing. So if you go to Edit, Preferences, you need to have Images as Planes selected as an add-on. You can search for it here, Images as Planes. Make sure you have a check mark next to that. You don't see it here. Make sure you have that turned on, and that will allow you to bring in the images as planes that we're about to do. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do Shift A, images as planes. So we see this. You need to go to the folder that has your images, right? These are the images. Before you bring these in, right? You can left click to select them. There's multiple ways. You can hold control press. Oh, you can't do that. Okay. Left click to select them. I'm going to select shadeless. What this means is that these will look just like the original drawings. They won't be affected by light. All right. These other settings are fine with the exception of this offset planes. So this offset planes will make it so that these come in probably how they are seen in this folder. We don't want that. We want these to come in right on top of each other. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll turn off offset planes. So now these should come in as you get right on top of each other, very similar to how they were in Gimp. So with these settings set up like that, we'll select import images as planes. Here are the images here. They're sideways, so it's difficult to see them. I'm going to press R to rotate on the Z-axis, -90, then press enter. You still can't see them because when you look to the upper right, we are in viewport shading. If we go to the right, the next viewing mode. Now when I zoom in, you can see our artwork, and this looks just like it would look in Gimp, or like it did look when it was in Gimp. Okay, so these pictures are pretty much on top of each other. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side slightly. I'm going to select the background. In the upper right is where I'm working. This is the outliner. I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to go to, it looks like a move tool. I'm going to pull this back slightly, just slightly. You just don't want these on top of each other. The cat and bird picture, I'm pushing this very slightly forward so that the pictures are not on top of one another. I'm going to select the background picture. I'm going to press S to scale this up slightly. Okay, already we have this set up, I think, fairly quickly. What we want to do now is we want to subdivide the cat and bird pic. For the eyes, we don't want to work with the eyes at all. They're fine how they are. So if you look to your upper right, there's a thing that looks like a funnel, right? These eyes right here set what's visible. The camera set what renders. Renders is when you get the pictures out of Blender. I'm going to click here and then see this. It looks like a arrow. I'm going to select that. This is how you can make things selectable or not selectable. I want the eyes to not be selectable, so I select that so these aren't highlighted. I want the background to not be selectable. So now we can't select them by accident. Okay, what we want to do now is select the cat and bird. I selected in the outliner towards the right. You could select it here as well. In Blender, you work in edit as well as object mode. Are two of the main modes that you work with. There's other modes as well. We're currently in object mode. That's where you move solid objects around. You want to go to your upper left and go to edit mode. So in edit mode, what we want to do is we want to subdivide this picture. So we can do that by right clicking. This menu pops up and we'll select subdivide. Once we see that subdivide, we look to our lower left, you'll see the subdivide menu. Select the arrow, and then you can see this number of cuts. We want to take this up to 10. So we have the picture was subdivided, broken up into these individual faces. We're going to press A to select everything again. I'm going to go to the upper left. We have vertex, edge, as well as face select. We're going to select face select. And then what I'm going to do again is right click, subdivide, take this up to 10 a second time. So I'll left click. So now we have a decent amount of subdivisions for this. So what we're going to do is go to the, actually no, we don't want to come out of here yet. What we want to do now is we want to set up a group so we can control the hair to, so to say, flow, how we're going to animate this. Okay, the way we're going to control the hair is we're going to go to the right. I'm going to press the N key to take away this menu. It looks like almost like a green triangle with circles on it. We'll select that. And then what we want to do is we're going to press C for paint select, right? If I roll my mouse, I can make this bigger. What you want to do is select the areas that you don't want to move. I'm actually going to come out here and make this easier. I'm going to hide the background. There we go. So we'll go back to upper left edit mode. So yeah, you want to select the areas that you don't want to move. So like I don't want the bird's face to move. I want these top feathers to move there. I really don't want this to move here. These pieces are in. So I really don't want this to move. I want that piece on the end to move there. Those pieces can move slightly. This I don't want to move. So all of this orange is what I don't want to move. What's outside the orange is what should move once we set this up to animate. So with these selected, we want Blender to remember what we selected. The way we can do that is by making a vertex group. So we can see here, vertex group. So I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. Then I'm going to select plus. So we have this vertex group right here made. You can name this whatever. If I double click on this, you can name it. I'm going to keep it as group. And then the important thing is you want to select assign. So if I left click off of this, there we lost our selection. But now I go to select. Now we can see that vertex group is right back. So I'm going to select again, go to the upper left. Then I'm going to go to object mode. Okay, we separated out the eyes, so you could use shape keys to make the eyes blink. There are another tutorial I did not too long ago where the eyes are set up where you could make the bird eyes blink as well as the cat's eyes. I think we're going to go over the flowing hair. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link up so you can get to the other tutorial that would show you how to make the eyes blink. Anyway, with this setup, what we want to do now is we want to go to, looks like a wrench, and we want to go to add modifier. So we'll select add, we'll go to displace, right? So when we did this displace, we see a massive displacement. We want to take this down. Maybe to 0.1. All right, so once we've done displace, remember this order is important. We have the displace, right? Now what we want to do is after setting the displace, we want to go right to this, looks like a checker mark here. We want to select new for new texture. See where this says displace? So this is letting us know this displace is going to work with the modifier, displace modifier we just set up. See this image or movie? You want to select this arrow here, select clouds, right? And then now with that done, what you want to do is go back to what looks like the wrench. Something very important to be aware of, you will not see any of the displace movement if you're in a front orthographic view. The way you can see your view is, see right here, this user perspective. So if I press N and then I go to front, we're in a front orthographic. You will not see any change from the displace. You need to hold the middle mouse button, slightly turn, and you'll see this is user perspective. That will allow you to see the display. So be aware of that. Okay, we need something to control this displace movement. So I'm going to zoom back. This is the 3D cursor in Blender. In Blender, where the 3D cursor is at is where objects tend to come into Blender at, right? What we're going to do is hold Shift, press A, and then we're going to go to empty. We're going to bring in the circle empty. Empties are objects that tend to be in graphic programs that don't render. They tend to be very useful for what we're going to use this empty for. I'm going to take this empty, move it to the side, right? I'm going to hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold Control as well as the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to hold Shift as well as the middle mouse button to zoom up. Let's press S to shrink this empty down some. So what we're going to do is click on the cat and bird picture. And then we're going to look where it's selected on the wrench. This is this modifier menu, right? See these coordinates says local. What we want to do is change this to object. The object we want to use is this empty. We'll go to the eyedropper and then select empty. Okay, with that selected, when I click here, and this is the move tool I'm on, see how the hair basically looks like it's flowing, right? But look at the eyes. I'll zoom in so you can see that. See how the eyes look like they're flowing as well? So how do you stop that? Well, the way you stop that is you select on the cat and bird picture, or whatever picture you're using. If you're using another picture, and then what you do is you go to, remember this vertex group. We'll select the vertex group. We'll select this, right? And then we'll invert it. That's what this is, invert. So all of that we have selected, which was everything but the tips of the fur as well as the feathers, we'll select the invert button. Okay, so now when I select here, you can see that the main picture is stable, and that the only the tips are flowing. So it's a pretty subtle thing. You can take time to experiment with this. You can also change the group, the vertex group, to have this effect more or less. Okay, so the eyes, you can see like there's a little piece of the eyes. So what we can do is I'm going to select this arrow. This lets me select the eyes. I'm going to press S to scale the eyes up slightly. Oh, got to be careful of that. Scale them up. I'm going to press S to scale that. Okay, that doesn't. That looks decent. So yeah, you can adjust the eyes. I'm going to go to this select to make the eyes not selectable again. Let's bring back the background layer. Okay, so how would you actually get an animation out of Blender? What you would do is go to this upper tab, what you could do, and zoom in here. Hold the middle mouse button to rotate. Okay, I'll hold Shift, press B to draw a zoom box. I'll select this viewer mode, roll my mouse to zoom in more. I'll press the N key, go to View, 3D Navigation, Front. Remember, we're in a front orthographic view, which we are. When I select front, we won't be able to see our display. So I'm going to hold Shift, press B, draw a zoom box. We'll go to the upper right to change the viewing mode. We need to have this slightly turned to the side to have this work. I'll hold Control to zoom in more. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the upper middle view. View, align view, align active camera to view. There's the camera right there. I can select the actual camera. Can I go from here? No, I cannot. All right, so as far as moving the camera, I'll select here. Clicking here because I'm wondering why I don't see my there it goes. Okay, that's because I'm looking through the camera view. So anyway, with the camera selected, you can go to the lower green. This Shift X will make things move to the left or right. Y will make things move up and down. Focal point, you can use that to zoom in and out. So what I'm doing is moving the camera so it better fits. Let me zoom in so you can see this. I'll change the focal length so that the picture fits. I'm going to select on our actual background image in the lower upper right. I'm going to press S to scale in that. Whoops. I made it non-selectable, so I'll select here, make it selectable. And then with it selected, I'll press S to scale. Oh, it's not selectable. S to scale background. There we go. So it's selected now. S to scale in the x-axis. I'll push this over some. You could change the background to be a square as well. I'm choosing to do things like this. S to scale on the z-axis to make that slightly bigger. So this is what the camera will see. S to scale on the x-axis. The camera will see this view right here. What you see on the bottom here is a timeline. This is 10 seconds in Blender. What we're going to do is zoom back, hold shift to go to the middle mouse button. We scanned, held shift as well as middle mouse button to pan the screen. Okay, so with that done, what we want to do is animate this to have our hair flow. So this is 10 seconds here on the bottom here in this timeline. You can increase that by changing this in to a much higher number. To set things up, we're going to look to the lower left. We're going to go to keying. We have this active keying set. This makes things easier to animate. We'll select right on the picture of the keys. And what we're going to do is we're going to select location. So what that does is when I click here, that will make things so that when I press the I key, I'll put in the location keyframe. So notice there's emptiness there. I'll press I. These are the keyframes now for that. I'll left click and drag over to, we'll say 200. Now with this here, and we can, even though this is zoomed back, we can see this big here. We'll push this to the side. And then we'll press I. So now from here to here, we have that animated, right? The hair animating. So what we can do is press play. We have that fairly, let's see. So it's flowing more than I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 500. There's multiple ways we could change this. I'm zooming back on the timeline. I'm going to select the top here, press G, and then move this over. So it takes more time for that to travel. So that's more a slower. This is moving more slowly, and I want it generally around 10 seconds. So since this is set up, what we can do now is I'll change this back to 250. So to get this out, what I'll do is I'll select output here. What I want to do is I want to put this out as a very quick movie. So see where we see this PNG. So we're selected on, looks like a copy machine. See where this PNG here. There's multiple ways you can set this up. This is my recommendations. I'm going to go to FFmpeg video, select that. If you wanted to put music, you would go to encoding, go down to audio codecs. Typically, I would click here to put audio in. I would choose MP3. This right here is where this is going to go to. So I'll select here. I'll go up. So I'll make a folder, video output. Go in that folder. Name this claws and talons animation. I'll then select accept. I'll zoom in here. Select those eyes again. Okay. Okay, with all that set up to render this out, I'll go to render and then render animation. And now you can see the animation here. Rendering out, you can see the frames at the top there. And this will go out to 250 frames. This is, I think the default is 30 frames a second. Okay, so once you have all of that done, you should be able to go to the folder you sent that to. Here's the movie that came out. We'll select open as, I'll go to VLC media player. And there's the animation. So pretty nice to have very smooth flowing hair. The more time you put in, the better results you'll get. Have that edge of the purple coming through. I could have kept the eyes not divided. I wanted to have the option of having the eyes blink. Hopefully you can see from this that you can have fairly nice flowing hair from 2D art. Okay, people, that's it for the tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And for those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel, you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.